I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
What up, Militia? I'm Joe Grizzly. And when I'm not trying to woo my coworker on a date while also trying to escape the clutches of a vicious serial killer, I'm at the Grizzly Cave, watching movies, reading comics, listening to metal, and of course, crushing beers. And I am back to bring y'all my review of the new Valentine's Day themed slasher, Heart Eyes. But before we get started, if you like this video, like it, and you like it enough, please head over to the YouTube channel, subscribe today, and make sure you hit the little bell notification so that you never miss an episode. Also, please follow me on all social media platforms so that you can get channel updates, movie news, and all forms of badassery. So with the release of Heart Eyes, does Sony start the path of redemption in 2025? Let's find out. This is Grizzly Grade Reviews. A masked maniac with glowing red eyes returns every Valentine's Day to terrorize unsuspecting couples. But on this Valentine's Day, he may have met his match when he targets two individuals that appear to be a couple, but actually aren't. I honestly went into this with very, very low expectations because this is distributed by Sony. And with their complete blundering of the Spider-Man property to their god-awful horror films that they released in 2024, I expected to come out of this disappointed, pissed off, or both. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that I am pleasantly surprised that I loved this movie. This movie was awesome. It is silly, it is goofy, it is gory as fuck, and I loved it. So, starting out with the positives, the two leads, Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding, are really, really good. They're great in this. Particularly Mason Gooding. I have liked him ever since he played Chad Minks in Scream 5 and Scream 6. The guy just, every time he's on screen, he makes you laugh. He is that guy who plays characters that you absolutely love and that you don't want anything to happen to. So when that person is in danger, you genuinely feel like tense because you don't want nothing to happen to him. And he brings that same energy into Heart Eyes. As far as Olivia Holt goes, the only role that I've seen her play prior to this was she played the older version of Karen Shipka's character's mom in Totally Killer. And she was okay in that movie. She kind of just played the dumb teenager. But in this one, she actually has a little heart and you actually root for her a lot because she's just a girl that just can't get it right and is down on her luck and doesn't feel like she will ever find true love. And the moment that she thinks that she's found it, this shit happens. So she does a really good job of conveying all those emotions and being that person who is really down to earth, yet just wants that hopeless romantic life. One of the things that adds to their performance is they have great on-screen chemistry. You genuinely think that these two like each other because they both just mend very well together and work so well together on screen as not only a couple, but people who are just attracted to each other. You see that in their mannerisms and the way that they act around each other and the dialogue that's exchanged between them. They did a fantastic job of making the audience actually believe that they are a couple. And this makes a big difference because if you have couples in movies and neither one of them they mesh well together, it kind of throws everything off and it kind of makes you not really care about what happens to them. And that makes this humongous difference in a movie because I could give you a perfect example of here recently in the new Wolfman movie. I legitimately did not think that Chris Abbott and Julia Garner's character were a couple. They had more of a father and a strange daughter type feel to them more than they did a married couple. So it makes a huge difference when they find two people and they cast them and they make them perfect for each other on the screen, and that just gets the crowd more invested in both of those characters. One of the big things that I want to praise about this movie is director Josh Rubin and crew. They do a phenomenal job of capturing the essence of Valentine's Day. It's something that you don't really see in most holiday themed slashers. Halloween movies really do a good job of that for the most part. Even if the movie isn't good, they usually nail the aesthetic. And so do Christmas horror movies. Like, you don't really see a lot of those movies on those holidays where they just cannot get the aesthetic right, and it's just something that's in the background and doesn't add anything to the movie. But for this, I don't think we've ever gotten a Valentine's Day slasher that had more emphasis on Valentine's Day. Even with the classics like My Bloody Valentine, yeah, they had imagery of like the Valentine's Day dance and stuff like that, and you know, the little heart-shaped boxes, candy boxes and stuff. But this takes it a step further. This brings the entire atmosphere. It feels like that I'm actually on a Valentine's Day date, and that was something that I really appreciated that they brought to this movie. As a horror fan, that holiday aesthetic really matters to me. And like I said before, I believe Christmas and Halloween have that down pat. All those holidays get represented very well in movies, but here recently, we've gotten a pretty good resurgence of holiday horror and a really good job of nailing the aesthetic. Eli Roth's Thanksgiving is a perfect example. That movie embodies Thanksgiving, from the madness of Black Friday to all the lore behind the pilgrims to all the Thanksgiving themed kills. I thought that was very well done, and to me this is just like that. It does a great job of nailing that aesthetic, and that aesthetic matters in order to set up an atmosphere. So I just really appreciated that they did that in this, and that I see this happening more in horror, where they really pay attention to detail on stuff like this. The writing in the movie is honestly a pretty good balancing act. Now, I'm not saying that this movie is brilliant by no means, but Christopher Landon, Philip Murphy, and Michael Kennedy managed to really balance this mishmash of genres very well. This movie works good as a rom-com, and it 100% works good as a slasher. It is honestly a perfect union of both. It has just enough to satisfy both sides, fans of rom-coms and fans of slashers, so that both of those individuals can come together and enjoy something together, and that's really hard to do. So I want to commend them on that as well. The Hard Eyes Killer is great. He has this kick-ass design, and he also has this arsenal of Valentine's themed weapons, like a crossbow with heart-shaped arrowheads, and I thought that was pretty badass. And on top of all that, he is very, very, very capable. He might be the most capable slasher that we have seen since The Collector. And if anybody has seen The Collector, you know how capable that guy is. Now, I'm not saying the guy's like Jason Voorhees or anything. He's not this unstoppable killing machine, but the skill and the precision in which he kills people is pretty damn impressive to watch. It's almost like watching an expert assassin work, because he definitely has all of that down pat. He's definitely one of the best slashers we've seen in a while. Now, again, I'm not ready to make him a horror icon or anything, but I just felt like he was a very capable and very cool slasher villain. The kills in this are fucking gnarly. Now, with that being said, this is the post-Terrifier trilogy world, and it's very hard now to get shocked by kills. I mean, Art the Clown's pretty much done everything he possibly can to shock us, and now we're all getting desensitized to that. But that does not mean that we can't be wowed by creativity and kills. And there's certainly a few very creative kills in this one. There's some takes on some old school kills as well. There's a few kills that are very well thought out. One in particular in the first act is absolutely fucking gruesome. It is a bloody mess. And then there's another one that's in the trailer that is kind of spoiled for you. And that one's cool as hell too, but it just kind of sucked because you already seen it coming and you didn't really get wowed by it. But that's the take on an old kill from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. And I thought it was pretty well executed in this one as well. But probably the biggest surprise about this film is its comedy. This movie is funny as hell. And it's not funny in a conventional way as in it's real smart and witty. It's funny because of the dialogue exchanges and the situations that happen. Literally, my entire crowd was laughing out loud at most points of the movie. Even more than when I seen Companion last week, which had a very good audience reaction to its dark comedy. This had a very similar, but it was kind of cranked up a few notches. And that made for a very, very good audience experience. And sometimes that really makes or breaks a movie for me. And this one did not disappoint. There's nothing worse than going into a movie that is supposed to be exciting or funny, and it's neither. And I'm glad that the last 2 weeks I have had experiences that have not been disappointing. As far as negatives go, the one thing that I have harped on multiple times on this channel and on my reviews is there is nothing worse than a studio that ruins certain parts of a movie in a trailer, if not the entire movie. And now I've gotten to the point where it pisses me off so much that I'm just going to start giving an automatic, like, fraction of a point deduction, like a 1/4 point deduction, because these studios, I don't know who told them that this is okay. I've said it before, I've heard Blumhouse say that they have data that suggests that if you show X amount of parts of a movie in the trailer, then more people will go see it. But I don't give a fuck. And most moviegoers don't. We don't want the movie spoiled. We don't want cool moments in the movie spoiled for us. And Hard Eyes manages to do that a couple of times. And not really plot points, but just really good kills. Like the van kill with the tire iron. That kill would have been gnarly as fuck. It still was, but it would have been even more effective if they would have left it out of the fucking trailer. So yeah, if these studios can't find a team that is creative enough to make a good trailer without giving away stuff, that's on them. The audience and the fans should not have to suffer because of that. So I'm just going to start giving an automatic 1/4 point deduction for every time a studio does this. And to kind of jump off from what I said earlier about the writing, I do think they do a great job of mishmashing genres and balancing the horror comedy and also giving fans this experience that fans of this type and this type can enjoy. But there are parts where the dialogue and some of the events that happen, and it's very, very minimal. One is very, very egregious that it borderlines parody. Now, I don't mind a little parody in my horror films, but when it becomes like really silly, like almost Scary Movie or Not Another Teen Movie, like parody, that's when I kind of check out. And there was one scene in particular that was so fucking stupid that literally I laughed because not because it was funny, but because it was so fucking dumb that I can't, like, I had to put it in my negatives because it was just that particular part was really poorly written. And if it was meant to be funny, that's fine. But to me, it just dipped its toe way too much into parody more than keeping it more grounded into a rom-com slasher. And I felt like that was the only real blemish that they had on the writing, other than a couple of things being kind of typical for your slasher movies and your rom-coms. And this scene in particular is where one character is giving another character a pep talk. And in that pep talk, that character rattles off a bunch of nonsense that is pretty much told through the titles of really famous rom-coms. Like, see, this is one of the 10 things I hate about you. You're just going to lose the guy that knows what women want and let him run off to Notting Hill. And it was freaking ridiculous. And no one would be that smart to rattle that off without rehearsing it. So it just makes it pretty unbelievable. And like I said, this makes it goofy and silly. So that part, I was kind of like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, they do tiptoe that line between real and parody, and I feel like that one part they stepped a little too far over. So overall, I really enjoyed Hard Eyes. I found it to be very entertaining, and I found it to be one of the best theater experiences I've had so far this year, even though we're pretty early in the year. Even more than Companion, which says a lot because I liked Companion significantly more, but I'm actually going to be scoring these very similar because of the theater experience and how much fun that I had with it. It's funny as hell, it's gory as fuck, it's a good time, and it is perfect for your Valentine's Day date night. So Hard Eyes gets a 4.25 out of 5, and it's Grizzly grade guaranteed. Take your significant other out and go see this movie on Valentine's Day, guys. Y'all won't be disappointed, and I guarantee that you will have a good time. Well, that brings another episode to an end. Thank you all so much for your continued support and patience on me getting these videos out. I appreciate each and every one of you, and y'all are the reason why I continue to do this. If you want to support the channel, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode, and please follow me on all social media platforms. Coming up next, we have Captain America: Brave New World, a movie that is either going to be surprisingly good or it's going to be bad. So I am excited about it. I got a little hope for it. So hopefully it's going to be pretty good. I can only hope, because Marvel has been so hit or miss lately that to me, they just need a win. And hopefully they get back on track with this movie. So stay tuned for that review, and remember, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.